a cell phone or other communication device, please take a moment and either turn it off or to silent so as not to disturb today's proceedings. We'll begin with a moment of silence. Thank you. If you would, please rise to the presentation of colors by Veterans High School, Air Force Junior ROTC.
Colors, and colors, Harry, colors. Forward, out. Colors, out, out, freeze and out.
If Angelina DeVivo and Derek Foster from Lake Joint Primary School would please come forward. And they will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. And the two of you are ready, please.
Attention, salute, pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Order, colors, colors, order, out.
First of all, thank you to Veterans High School for presenting colors today. Also, thank you to Angelina and Derek for doing such a great job leading us in the pledge. Now, it was mentioned briefly in a previous meeting that today we'd like to formally recognize Veterans High School for their evaluation rating on the Air Force Junior ROTC program. Their program was given the highest possible rating after an inspection held earlier this year. The Air Force Junior ROTC Regional Director, who inspected the program, said in the 17 years that he's been involved with ROTC, that he would rank this unit among the top 5% in the United States. Congratulations. Please come forward. To be the great leader that he is, Colonel Atkins would not come up here today unless the students being recognized. So he and I believe Vince Mom, you going to tell the crowd today a little bit about the inspection?
Yes, sir. All right, basically, what a unit compliance inspection is headquarters, AFJROTC, coming out and making sure our unit meets all of our standards. It's basically a head-to-toe inspection of our unit. They go through our finances, see what we do for our operations, our community service, that type of stuff. They soon recognize that we have an outstanding corps with outstanding instructors. We exceeded everything during inspection. That's about it.
And we also have General Mr. Chief Peggy Billers here with cadets also. Appreciate everybody being here today. And it's going to take two, so don't leave. I saw Dr. Brown smiling back there. He's proud. work session last night. Dr. April Strellig, principal at Lake Joy Primary. She has some gifts for her today.
Thank you for having us. I have with me Catherine Grayson. She's our teacher of the year. She has been part of numerous different activities at our school, serving on better seeking, serving on the school council, being a grade level team leader, and also doing ELU classes for the district. She serves in a lot of different ways, and she is just an exemplary example of teaching for Lake Joy Primary. I want to thank her for coming.
students, and I'm in second grade, and I'm a musician.
Okay, next we have Dr. Julie Harden from Mount Arthur Elementary.
Thank you so much, Amanda. I am proud to introduce to you Alex Roby. She's a fifth grader at Mount Arthur. She enjoys volleyball, spending time with her family. Her mom says she is the perfect daughter. Her teacher says she's an excellent role model. And her father is currently stationed in Bahrain. And he is a senior master sergeant and has been on active duty for over 20 years. I asked her, is there anything else you want to tell him? And she said that she wanted to know that she wants to leave. And next to her, Hannah Stanley. Hannah's a fourth grader. She enjoys soccer and 4A. She's a focused and a straight A student. Her father is a master sergeant in the military and works as a senior director technician on Daystars. And he just returned from a 4-month deployment in Qatar. A wonderful student. We're very proud of both of them. We also have Kendra McDaniel, who is easily mistaken for a student at Alabama. Her father is also a retired tech sergeant in the Air Force, and she's a product of Castle County, and she's been able to experience the iPad pilot in her class this year, so she wanted to say a few words about that.
First of all, thank you for the opportunity. I knew when we started the program that it would greatly impact our teaching and learning in my classroom, but I didn't know just how much. And as I look back on it, some simple things such as being able to zoom in on the text has greatly helped my special ed students. Other things have helped the reluctant learners in the classroom. I can take any activity and make it more engaging. An example would be news that we were doing figurative language, and I had them search a Smurf image, and they had to come up with something that the Smurf would say that would be on an idea, and a simile like I was strong as an ox, or something like that with the Smurf that matches. So I do appreciate the opportunity.
And from Russell Elementary, Dr. Keith Larson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank all of you for all your support over the years. We appreciate you very much. To my part of that is Kendra Hudson. She's one of our first grade teachers, first teacher of the year. Kendra's one of those special teachers that every year she's the one that always shines. She works as a team leader. She does a lot of the lesson planning for our schools, so she takes a great leadership role there. But she also serves on committees and things in the county. And Kendra's been at Russell for 12 years, and I believe in Houston County for about 15, and the other time she served in Bibb County and Darwood County. So she is known as the Ladybug teacher, and so everybody calls her the Ladybug lady. So she's a great teacher and a fantastic person, and we love that. And these two wonderful young people right here, next to Miss Hudson, is Kashaga Biswat. And you may have seen Kashaga before. He is a spelling champion. Not only did he win the school spelling bee, he won the county spelling bee. Now that's against all of the 4th graders through 8th grade, and he's only in 5th grade. And he won the whole thing. And when he went and competed at regional over at Fort Valley State, he was with mostly older kids. And I'm telling you, I couldn't believe how many rounds he was still in. He was in the top 3. And I think the lady mispronounced the word wrong, but he would have won. I'm telling you, this guy's going to be on the ESPN one day in the national championship. He is something special. He's got 3 more years at it. So we know he's going to do well. We'll look for great things from him. He's also a winner of the oratorical contest. He loves to play tennis and chess. And he loves art. He likes to make inventions, and especially making kinetic sculptures. So he's a very bright young man, and this is Kashaga Biswat. And the young lady next to me is Madeline Mizell. And Madeline's been at Russell for a couple of years now. And she takes a lot of leadership roles at our school. She volunteers with our pre-K students every day, works in our school store. She's been on the A+ honor roll every grading period that she's been there. She attended a leadership conference, 4H leadership conference back in March. She enjoyed going to space camp this year with the 5th grade focus class. And she's a member of the livestock team, I think, with Perry Middle School. And she shows livestock as well, even though she's only in elementary school. She's already a part of FFA and showing the hogs and pigs and all that good stuff. Hogs and pigs, it's the same thing, right? All right. But there you go. She's also a member of our academic ball team. She loves to read and loves to shop, like any other woman would. And she loves to swim. And she is a wonderful young lady, as are all these 3 wonderful people. Thank you.
Thank you, Keith. And from Northside Middle School, we have Mr. J.M. Milton.
Good afternoon, everybody. It's my absolute pleasure to be a part of this month where we recognize our military families and their children. I brought along today a couple of our 8th grade students from Northside Middle School, Ms. Kendall Rayleigh. Interesting fact about this young lady, in the 3 years she's been at Northside Middle School, her father, a master sergeant, has been deployed 4 different times since she's been with me in 6th, 7th, and the 8th grade. Very active student in our athletic program, but she doesn't injure herself. But a wonderful young lady wants to become a chef one day. I've also brought along Mr. Daniel Underwood. Mr. Daniel Underwood is the son of a lieutenant colonel on our base. Daniel is heavily involved in our band program. He's played sports with us while at Northside Middle School. A wonderful young man, just a personality that is, over the past 3 years, I've gotten to know him as this quiet little 6th grade fellow that has grown into a very, I'd say, just fun-loving young man, just a real great personality. To his left, I've brought a timeless fellow. This is Coach Kenneth King. Many of you have probably been taught by this guy at some point along the way. He's been at Northside Middle School or junior high back then. He's been there now 25 years. This is his 3rd time as our teacher of the year. He's our math department head. Coach, as I've already mentioned, just does an outstanding job with our young people in the world of math. One of the major reasons why our scores are where they are with our students is because of the hard work that he puts in as a teacher, a coach, a BST member. Just an outstanding fellow. In fact, I did this the other day. I went back and looked at an annual picture from his first year. This cat doesn't manage. That's great because I look forward to having him around another 25 years. So, this is us from Northside Middle School, and thank y'all so much for giving us a chance to honor our military families.
I talked to Coach King before the meeting today and told him that I know a student probably 14, 15 years ago, and it's probably hard for me to believe it's that long ago, Coach King, that said she was his favorite math teacher going to school here and did a really great job. Of course, I also told him that I couldn't say the same thing about his softball coaching ability back then. But it improved a whole lot too. It's nice to know. You notice today we have a little bit different theme as the students were being recognized, but a lot of them have ties, probably parents, but they all have ties in some way to military families. Well, April's recognized globally as the month of the military child and tries to make a focus on how these students are impacted by deployment and other challenges of growing up in a military family. In our school system, we have more than 7,700 students that are military affiliated, to include over 3,000 students whose parents currently serve active duty military. All in all, this represents 28% of our total student population. I never realized it was such a high number. Before we move forward with my comments that I have written down, I would like for everyone in attendance today who's either military or retired, active duty or reserve, either one, or if you're in a family that's military, if you would please rise to be recognized. We've got several visitors here today from Robbins that I'd like to recognize individually and ask each of you to stand, please. We have Colonel David Sutherland, 78th Air Base Wing Vice Commander. We have Chief Patrick Bowen, the 78th Air Base Wing Commander-in-Chief. This person's been very active since she's taken this role on, and we see her at every board meeting. Miss Leslie Miss Leslie Darling, School Liaison Officer, please rise. We have Mrs. Renee McFeeters, the Exceptional Family Member Program Coordinator. And we also have the wife of Colonel Mitch Butikoffer, Miss Leslie Butikoffer. And we also have another special guest today, Mr. Marcus Eason, Director of the Georgia Operation of Military Kids, which is based at the University of Georgia. He traveled here today from Athens to be in attendance, and we appreciate that. We've had several events in our system to celebrate the month of the military child. On April 13th, many children in the system will wear purple as it is Wear Purple Day as a show of support for our military children. And as you probably already know, purple symbolizes all branches of the military, correct, Mr. Wilson? In addition, Georgia Operation Military Kids is providing dog tags for our military students. And today, Mrs. Darling and Mr. Eason have bought some for the students that are in attendance, and they will get those dog tags to you, and I hope you put them to good use. Chief Bowen and others are also visiting our schools to present the dog tags in the schools and recognize our military children. And today, to formally recognize the month of the military child, Dr. Hines and Colonel Sutherland are going to sign a joint proclamation. Colonel Sutherland, if you would, please go ahead and come forward. And bear with me, I'm going to read the proclamation, and then they're actually going to have the official signing today before we proceed. Whereas thousands of brave Americans serve in the military and have taken the oath to support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic, and whereas more than 89,000 of Georgia's children have at least one parent currently serving in the military, and whereas our Houston County school system has more than 3,000 students with an active duty military parent, and whereas our school system has many youth whose parents are retired and or veterans of the United States military, and whereas many Houston County Board of Education faculty, support staff, and administrators have loved ones currently serving or who have served in the United States military, and whereas military students face their own unique set of challenges to to include moving on average 6 to 9 times during their K-12 school years. Whereas these children are a source of pride and honor for all of us, it is only fitting that we take time to recognize their contributions, celebrate their spirit, and let our men and women in uniform know that while they're taking care of us, we are taking care of their children. When parents serve in the military, their children also serve and are our heroes too. And whereas by recognizing this month of the military child, we pay tribute to military children for their commitment, their struggles, and unconditional support of our troops. Now, therefore, we, Colonel David Sutherland, Vice Commander of the 78th Air Base Wing, Robbins Air Force Base, and Dr. Robin Hines, Superintendent of the Houston County Schools, do hereby proclaim April 2012 as Month of the Military Child and give our support to activities that recognize and honor military youth. And a tradition for many years has been exchanging the coins within the different services, and that's something that's been instituted here recently within the school system. And we have our own Board of Education coin, and not many people have received one to this point. And at this time, I believe Dr. Hines has a presentation.
I personally have never been a military child. My wife was an Air Force dependent, and I'm not supposed to say how old she is, but I will tell you that she's never lived anywhere in her entire life for more than 2 years. I've been in the Air Force now 31 years, and my children and my family and I have moved 16 times. We've lived in 4 different countries, and lived throughout approximately about half of the United States. Now, for me, that's a great opportunity. My children have some experiences that some that will never experience. Living in different cultures and learning what different other people are like. But I'll tell you, I was born and raised in Atlanta, and I moved 1 time in my entire life, and I was traumatized, just for 1 time. But I will tell you, there are some challenges that go along with being a military child, and one of those is the moves. But one of the great things about moving around is you eventually end up in a great community. And one of those great communities is here in Houston County. And I do thank you very much for making us feel like we're at home each and every day. So thank you very much.
Continuing on with the same theme, one of our students was selected as a top 20 finalist for the Air Force Military Child of the Year. This award honors military children who are leaders with their families and their communities. Finalists demonstrate resilience, strength of character, and an ability to thrive on military life. At this time, Caitlin Ratley, please come forward. Caitlin is a senior at Warner Robins High School. She is one of only 20 selected worldwide as an outstanding Air Force child by Operation Homefront. Caitlin was nominated by her parents. At this time, I'd like for you to stand to recognize Russell and Lisa Ratley. Last year, while a junior at Warner Robins High, Caitlin was a student mentor for students transitioning to Crossroads. And this year, she is a mentor with students with special needs. She was also involved in her school's Tuscaloosa Tornado Relief Team and volunteered several weekends to collect funds and supplies with her school band. She traveled to Tuscaloosa to deliver the donations and stayed help unload supplies from all over the Southeast. Additionally, you volunteered at your church. We're excited to learn that, this is really good news, is HR President Caitlin wants to be a teacher. And hopefully she wants to be a teacher in a house in Kansas City. Fingers crossed. And I'm kind of exciting part of the meeting. Okay, do any members of the board have any questions or comments from the review agenda that we did not cover last evening? Dr. Miller.
Yes, sir. I would like to make a motion that we adopt the agenda as presented.
Second.
Motion by Dr. Melnick, seconded by Ms. Hughes, to approve today's agenda as presented. All in favor of the motion, please raise your right hand. Motion carries 7-0. Dr. Melnick.
Yes, sir. I'd like to make a motion that we approve the minutes from our previous meeting.
Motion by Dr. Melnick, seconded by Mr. Wilson, to approve the minutes from the previous meetings as presented. All in favor of the motion, please raise your hand. Motion carries 7-0. And board member comments, Mr. Maddox.
Hello, everybody. Sorry for the technical difficulty. Hope everybody's had a great spring break and ready to get going again. A couple things I want to say real quickly. Last night we talked about our technology and how we have implemented the e-SPLOST dollars. And a couple things just so you'll know. Our teacher workstations, 2,400 workstations, the completion date is April the 13th. We're having all those installed. A phenomenal job. Think about it, it's not just plugging in the brand new computer, it's imaging the old computer, getting everything up and going, and there's one for doing all these folks involved and done a great job. One of the thing we learned last night was that with our new Infinite Campus software, I was amazed to hear that the typical high school request that would normally take 3 days takes about an hour. So creates some really wonderful advancements there. I want to say good luck to all the middle schoolers. We're going to be heading off to high school, I guess on the 26th to see their new schools. I know that's going to be an exciting time, and also probably a little fear there. And also for the 5th graders, we're going to be looking at middle school. So good luck to all of them. And the last thing I want to say has to do with military. I'm not a military family. I noticed when Mr. Walmer asked the military folks to stand up, it was a smaller portion of the crowd. It was over half the people didn't stand up as I did. I just want you to know, when I first graduated from college, I lived in Savannah for 3 years. Savannah has Hunter Army Airfield. And I don't know if anybody here has ever been there or served there, but when I lived in Savannah, it was known that most of the people who lived in Savannah would have loved for Hunter Army Airfield to close up and that base would leave. It was such that during the St. Patrick's Day parades, when the military units would pass by, nobody paid attention. It was almost as if they just didn't want the military. And that just shocked me because I couldn't believe it. Then we moved to Warner Robins, and it was just so amazing the different attitude. And I think that's one thing that's really wonderful about our community is we want the military here as opposed to Savannah, Georgia. And I think Savannah does that to their difference. I don't know if it's changed or not, but I really think that one of the things that makes it such a wonderful community is our military folks and the attitude that people have. And I just want to thank all the military people. I understand it's a tough thing for families and for kids, and I'm just glad there are people that are working hard to help them in that regard. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Maddox. Ms. Hughes.
Okay, I can't believe it's April. Where is this year gone? It's of our Houston County educators will be inducted into the Houston County Teacher Hall of Fame here. And that's another thing that we just have wonderful, outstanding educators in our system. But they're Inez Bruton, Donna Negrilla, Sharon Bennett, Joyce Jones, Jean McDonald, and Carolyn Stonehouse. And I just need to say that both of my children were fortunate enough to have Sharon Bennett as an instructor at Houston County High School. And she was one of the most demanding, challenging teachers that they ever had. But she prepared them for the next level of education at the college level. So I just want to say thank you to those educators for how they've impacted so many lives. Their contributions are really beyond measure, and just their induction is just a small appreciation of how they impacted our school system. And finally, last thing, the mother hat will come on, but proms are later this month. And I just want to remind our students, and there aren't any students left in here, but if there are parents in here, remind them to make good decisions that evening. That's a special night. It's junior, senior. It should be a memorable event, but one bad choice can impact your life and the lives of others for years to come. So enjoy the evening. Make it a memorable evening, but uneventful.
Thank you, Ms. Hughes. Dr. Hill.
Thank you, Mr. Long. Colonel Sutherland, thank you so much for bringing your group down today. And those people know, I'm very seldom without workers, but just really humbled by your presence and all of you do and your folks do for us and for everyone. Thank you very much. It occurred to me as we were listening to this group from Lakejoy on the keyboard. That keyboard up there is very much like public education. If you notice, we have a real diversity of students. And that keyboard really didn't care who was playing with it. What that keyboard did was offer each of those students an opportunity to do their very best and to grow, succeed, and eventually master it. Without any regard to where that child came from, how much money that child's parents made, where that child's great-grandparents resided, or really what political party that child's parents belonged to. I think a little bit about the keyboard. Think about, if people started saying, well, that keyboard could do without a few fewer keys, or maybe a little less power, and we'll just turn it down just a little bit this year, and nobody really noticed, and until eventually those children are not going to have the opportunity to play that full people. We can't let that happen. But it's happened consistent to our public system of public education over the last 7 or 8 years. There are people who would like to cut that keyboard in half. We just cannot allow that to happen. And, I regret that everybody didn't stay to hear our comments, but really the people I'm talking to are people I need to talk to. Those are people who are responsible for our future. And, I know we're doing our best, but we've got to let people know what the end result will be, and that will be that we need to be better.
Thank you, Dr. Hill. Mr. Wilson.
Thank you. Anytime I'm in the presence of military members, military families, students, I'm humbled by that. As I spent 22 years in the uniform, over 22, every time I see it, I'm humbled by it. Colonel, Chief, rest of you family members, thank you for what you all are doing and for promoting the military child, military family, and all that. I'm touched by that. I really, really am, and always will be, because the military did so much for me and my family, and my children are successful because of the military, the close connections of military families, and all that it means, deployment, the TDY, the PCS, without families and all of that. You go through a lot, and I know that, and thank you all for what you do. And I still have my uniform hanging up in the closet. If they call me back today, I will go back today because it means that much to me. So thank you all again for what you do. Thank you, thank you. Anyway, everybody who had spring break, hope you enjoyed your spring break and are ready to wind the school year down. I know you're working hard and getting ready for CRCT and already ready, I should say, and getting ready for graduation and all of that. So thank all the educators and parents and everybody for supporting that effort there, and looking forward to a great rest of the year. And finally, I had a chance to spend some time with the students, the Elam students, and enjoy the breakfast that they celebrated with them for their efforts in the food drive that they had. So thank you for that. Thanks to all the students and all the members who participated in that effort. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Wilson. Mr. Dawkins.
Well, thank you, Mr. Warren. Coach Soul, thank you for being you and Chief folks. We want you to know that as members of this board, we are committed to all the children in this community. And that when you bring people into this community, we want you to feel comfortable that they will get the best education that taxpayer dollars can buy. We see to it, or try our best to see to it, that we have the kind of staff and the kind of facilities that will be a welcoming sight for these parents that are coming in wherever they come. We want you to know that this board is truly committed to that. And we all are affected by the military. I have two son-in-laws, one's in the Air Force and one's in the Marines, and they have been assigned overseas. And I know the anxiety that you feel when those people are gone. We know how these parents feel when their loved ones are overseas and they can't put a hand on them. So just know and please feel comfortable that we do have your children best interest in mind. We'll always make every effort to see to it that they get the best education possible. It makes us feel good on occasion we get a response back from some people who have left, gone to other assignments and said, hey, listen, you folks are a little far advanced. It's not even funny. We feel like that's our responsibility. When these kids leave here and go to another school system, we want the parents to know and feel comfortable when they go into another school system. That's our duty, that's our responsibility. And we are very proud to be a part, and very proud of you being a part of us as far as the community is concerned. Every day, I get emails from Beth McLaughlin that says, this person wants this, this kid wants this. Well, I'm probably going to cover all of them, but just let me say congratulations to all of them. We have some outstanding students performing, and they're doing a great job, and you just can't imagine, unless you get those emails from Beth every day, how many children, all the way from kindergarten, all the way to high school, are receiving some type of award. Not just as singles, but as groups. And I can't tell you too much how proud that makes me feel. A lot of them, I have friends on other boards in other states, and I'll ship it over and say, hey, see what Georgia's doing? Can y'all do this yet? Can y'all do this yet? They don't like to send those emails to them, but I do anyway. But anyway, thank you, staff. Thank you, teachers, for making these things happen for our kids. It just makes them better. And makes them feel better about themselves, and it definitely makes us look real good as Houston County. So thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
And when Mr. Dawkins says every day, that includes spring break, didn't it? Right, let's get on that. We're supposed to be on break. Hey, Dr. Melnick.
Well, as we all know, every day in Middle Georgia is Armed Forces Appreciation Day. In particular, right here in Houston County in Warner Robins. So thank you so much for what you bring to our community, and hopefully we are serving you the best we can. Also, I wanted to say I hope everyone had a great spring break, a restful spring break, because I think it was right prior to spring break, the high schools had their Georgia graduation test, and next week, we've already talked about, our middle schools and our elementary schools will take the CRCT. And I wish everyone good luck. I look forward to the results, but more importantly, I want to just say thank you to our students and our staffs for working so hard to prepare our students for these particular exams. It's a stressful time, this particular time of the year, and everyone is involved, and I want to say thank you to all of you. We used to have a saying, or a banner at Warner Robins High School, I don't even know if it's still there, but we used to have a banner that said academics, arts, and athletics. And the three of them go hand in hand, and today we saw some of our artists performing, our children performing in a fine art, music. And of course, we know about our athletic teams. And we looked at the FFA champions here. It all goes hand in hand to make that successful individual, that successful student. And I just want to thank this board for supporting these programs, for promoting them, and for our past boards who have done that for us. I thank you for that, because it's so important that we have a well-rounded child.
Thank you, Dr. Melvin. And our superintendent's report, Dr. Hines.
Thank you, Mr. Walmer. Colonel, like everybody else, I want to thank you for what you do and for the support that Robins Air Force Base, gives us and what it has done for this community and this school system. Virtually every day I talk about this is the best place anywhere. This is the best school system anywhere. And I remember when I came here 6 years ago, it was just, things were different. People acted differently. It was just such a level of tolerance. Everybody just seemed to like each other and love everybody and that sort of thing. And I just feel like that it has been for years of the influence of the base coming through it from a level of respect. I used to, it's like even the bad kids were yes sir, no sir, kind of people. It's just a great place, and the influence of Robins is just certainly felt and continues to be, felt through and throughout our school system and throughout our community. And, we just appreciate our military so much. And it's not just here, and it's just not our school system, it's just not our state. It's why we have the greatest country ever, is because of our military, and we are certainly appreciative. And for the small part that we play as educators to make our country strong and vital and educated, we gladly play a part and certainly appreciate being able to partner with you in doing that. But thank you so much for taking your time and for you being here. You bring so much to us. Ms. Dean Crawford, I just think of what your family has brought to this community, and congratulations on your daughter being chosen for governor's honors. We're really proud of that. Mr. Monday back there keeps me in touch with what's going on, and those type of contributions, they're singular there, but they add up and they make us what we are, which is the best school system anywhere. And thank you so much for your contribution. All right, more kudos. I want to thank Linda Horn and Sharon Lunsford and Technology for the job that they're doing. They are about to finish up installing all of our teacher-student learning workstations, whatever you want to call it there. We've got a little bit left to go. They've had certainly an ambitious timeline, and they've done that. And now they're bidding out the interactive boards and all those other things, and expect to have everything in place before the school year starts next year. Folks, that's incredible. And, I told Sharon, slow down, relax, you imposed this deadline on yourself and everything. I never dreamed that it would happen, but it's happening, and we appreciate that. And to all of your staff, we appreciate you so very much. As we've talked about, testing is coming on. We've got CRC through through April 10th through the 16th, through the 16th through the 20th is the CRCT, the makeups, the 23rd through the 26th. Then we've got the end of course test in April 30th through May 11th, and then AP exams on the 7th through the 18th. And I don't know how many thousands of tests. Do you know off the top of your head here?
16,000 just this week.
Yeah, just 16,000, Each one of those are processed, scanned, and all that by Jane Grace and her huge, big old department. There are 2 others in there. And that's indicative of the type of work that folks in the school system do. And it goes off without a hitch. You don't see the problems in Houston County with testing that you see in other places. And so, they just do a great job with that. And so be nice to them for the next month or so, because they're going to be stressed out, and help them when you can. I did want to talk for just a minute about the new accountability and going back on the waiver situation for No Child Left Behind. There's still a lot of things up in the air about how all this is going to work. And what Georgia had originally asked for was a waiver from the basically measure and punish of No Child Left Behind, and was granted that waiver, but they wanted a hold harmless year for this year in time to develop the College Career Readiness Performance Index, which is a better measure of schools and how we are performing. Instead of just 1 or 2 real measures, now we'll have English, math, science, social studies, foreign language, AP, SAT scores, many different things. Well, it's not quite ready to go yet, and so the feds and the state have gotten together and come up with these things they're called priority schools, focus schools, and then later will come alert schools. Now, what I'm asking you to do is to understand that this is a break from the measure and punish of No Child Left Behind. And we can't be thinking in those terms. We know that there are going to be, if you have a list of schools and everybody's measured by the same thing, there's going to be different levels of achievement. And you'll find that many of the same gaps appear in all schools, regardless of how those things, flesh out. Well, we have 4 schools that are on the focus list. That doesn't mean that they're not good schools. We have great schools that are on those lists. This is not one of those deals where it needs to be painted as this is a negative thing. We have one situation in one of our schools where there were 33 students, and that one group of students was the reason that they were called a focus school. That's not good, bad, or indifferent. They measure the gaps. And let me give you an example about this. And I'm not saying this is a negative thing. I'm saying this is a positive thing, because if gaps exist between subgroups or children, that sort of thing, we want to recognize those. And we want to create a plan to close that gap. And we're doing it. In one of the schools, the gap was actually closed 20% just this year. So as we move forward. But this one school was achieving in one area at a 98% rate, whereas, let's say, a student with disabilities or whatever was going at a 65% rate. So the gap is measured. And they take the largest gaps, and that's how they identify you as a focus school. Okay, you follow me so far? Let's say that you could be in a different school system where you may not have a subpopulation that is scoring at a 98% rate. They may be scoring at a 65% rate, and that other population is at a 55% rate. So the gap is much smaller. And so as we compare the gaps, that gap's not as large, so they're not a focus school. And I'm not doing this to punch holes into the accountability system, because if we have gaps here, then we want to address those. But I want us to make sure that we keep this in perspective. Don't let it get out of hand and run away like it's a bad thing. It's not a bad thing. It's a good thing. I'm proud of all of our schools, and we have plans in place to close any gap that we may have, may it be between, all students and students with disabilities and that sort of thing. But you have to keep in mind, if you have certain students with disabilities programs within a school, chances are your level of people graduating with a regular ed diploma is not going to be as high as a school where there's not. So we just have to keep those things in mind. But I'm proud of all of our schools. And my point in all of this is this new accountability thing is
is a positive thing for us, and it's much better than the measure and punish of No Child Left Behind. And there'll be more as we move forward in there. And if you look right to the back, there's a beautiful bird song. You call it, raise your hand. You know, they do a lot of work in this area. They help us out and work with our federal programs, and they do an outstanding job. And I defer any questions you may have to them. Okay, now we're moving on. We've already mentioned, so I'll just be very brief, but the Teacher Hall of Fame coming up this Sunday, and I would encourage you to be there. We have the best of the best, and we talk about these great teachers that came before us, and we have a great responsibility then for continuing this great work that they started. But Inez Bruton, Donna Haverilla, Sharon Hennett, Joyce Jones, Jean McDonald, and Carolyn Stonehouse will be inducted, and we're just really excited about that. That's one of the best things that we do in this school system is honoring those, and we're proud of that. Sharks, we have a fundraiser coming up, the Sharks versus the Guppies. Okay, who's the Guppy? Raise your hand. We'll be playing the Sharks in wheelchair football, and they better look out this year because we're coming after them this time. But that will be April 23rd at Warner Robins High School. We will be hosting the 2012 State Wheelchair Football Tournament. That will be April 28th, also at Warner Robins. And there'll be 8 teams to compete for the varsity and JV state championship. Anyway, the bottom line is our Sharks did such a great job, and they dominated that JV league. They moved us up into the varsity competition. We're still undefeated and playing for the state championship on that day. So come out and watch. Anyway, special dates ahead. As recognized earlier, April is the month of the military child, and we hope that you're satisfied with our recognizing that, and we're so proud and happy to do that. April is also Occupational Therapy Month. Other special dates, proms on the 21st. April 25th is Administrative Professional Day. April 27th is the last day of pre-K. It's hard to believe that. And April 26th through May 30th is Heritage Foundation Campaign. You'll hear more about that as we move forward. May 7th through 11th, Teacher Appreciation Week. May 9th, School Food Services Employee and Nurse Appreciation Day. May 15th is the System Retirement Banquet. And May 25th and 26th is graduation. It is already here for us. I'm telling you, we had open session. It seems like yesterday. It's been a great year. Thank all of you for being here, especially our military freedoms. Have a great day.
Thank you, Dr. Hines. Okay, now moving into the business section of today's meeting, the February financial statement, Mr. Wilson.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we approve the February 2012 financial statement as presented to us on last evening.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Wilson and seconded by Ms. Hughes to approve the February financial statement as presented. Any discussion? All in favor of the motion, please raise your hand. Motion carries 7-0. Now we have several different actions on the personnel report from last evening. First of all is the certified and classified reports, Mr. Dawkins.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we accept the personnel report as presented.
Mr. Dawkins' motion, seconded by Mr. Wilson, to approve the certified and classified reports as presented. Any discussion? All in favor of the motion, please raise your hand. Motion carries 7-0. Then we have the fiscal year 13 contract recommendations. Mr. Wilson.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we approve the fiscal year 13 certified contracts for certified employees consisting of over 1,900 employees.
Second. Motion by Mr. Wilson, seconded by Mr. Dawkins to approve the contract recommendations for fiscal year 13 as presented on the board report. Any discussion? All in favor of that motion, please raise your hand. Motion carries 7-0. Then under contract recommendations, we have 4 items, and Dr. herself from item number 1. I entertain a motion at this time.
Yes, Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion to approve the contract for Laura Herman for next year.
Second motion.
Motion by Dr. Hill, seconded by Mr. Dawkins, to approve the superintendent's recommendation for fiscal year 13 contract for Laura Miller. All in favor of the motion, please raise your hand. That motion carried 6-0. And then Dr. Hill will be recusing himself from items 2 and 3. On item 2, Dr. Millman.
Yes, sir. I'd like to make a motion that we approve the contract recommendation for Anna C. Noble.
Second.
Motion by Dr. Melnick, seconded by Mr. Wilson, to approve the superintendent's recommendation for fiscal year 13 contract for Anna C. Nobles. All in favor of the motion, please raise your hand. That motion carries 6-0. Item 3, Dr. Melnick.
Yes, sir. I'd like to make a recommendation that we approve the contract recommendation for Angela H. Sands.
Second.
Motion by Dr. Melnick, seconded by Mr. Wilson, to approve the superintendent's recommendation for fiscal year 13 contract for Angela H. Sands. All in favor of the motion, please raise your hand. That motion carries 6-0. And I will be recusing myself from item 4 and turning the meeting over to Dr. Melnick at this time.
Yes, sir. I need a motion for item 4, please.
Mr. Chair, I make a motion that we accept the contract of Ms. Kimberly Waller.
All those in favor, please raise your right hand. Motion passes.
Thank you, Dr. Melnick. That was all the information on the personnel report. Under new business, item A, Mr. Maddox.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that we accept the superintendent's recommendation for the purchase of 3 2012 Ford F-250 trucks and 2 2012 F-350 cargo vans to be purchased at a total price of $110,774 from Allen Business.
Motion by Mr. Maddox, seconded by Ms. Hughes, to approve the purchase of 5 vehicles at a total cost of $110,774 off the state contract from Allen Digital Corp. Any discussion? All in favor of the motion, please raise your hand. Motion carries 7-0. Item 8B, Dr. Hill.
Yes, Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion to approve the new elementary sex education curriculum as presented last night.
Second motion.
Motion by Dr. Hill, seconded by Mr. Dawkins, to approve the new elementary sex education curriculum as presented last evening. Any discussion? All in favor of the motion, please raise your hand. Motion carries 7-0. And item 8C, Mr. Maddox.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. It's with apprehension, but I do need to make a request, make a motion that we approve the request for school lunch price increases of 25 cents. Second motion.
Motion by Mr. Maddox, seconded by Mr. Dawson, to approve the request for a 25-cent increase in lunch price. Any discussion? All in favor of the motion, please raise your hand. Any against? Motion carries 6-1 with Dr. Hill voting no. And item 8D, Mr. Wilson.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we approve the request of Northside High School to host summer school for during the summer of 2012 at $200 per class per student.
Motion by Mr. Wilson, seconded by Dr. Hill, to approve the recommendation for Northside High School to host summer school at $1,200 per class. Excuse me, $200. I'm sorry. Maximum 3 classes now with any county student discussion? All in favor of the motion, please raise your hand. Motion carries 7-0. Item 8E, Mr. Wilson.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we approve the request from Northside Middle School to host summer school for the summer of 2012 at $200 per class per student.
Motion by Mr. Wilson, seconded by Ms. Hughes to approve the request from Northside Middle to host summer school at $200 per class. And that was a maximum of 2. Any further discussion? All in favor of the motion, please raise your hand. Motion carries 7-0. Do we have Cynthia Salter in attendance today?
Yes.
We do. Okay, that will be an executive session item, so we will get to that shortly. Okay. At this time, entertain a motion from the board to go into executive session for student matters. Motion by Mr. Dawkins, second by Mr. Wilson. All in favor, please raise your hands. Motion carries 7-0. We'll take about a 10-minute break.